Hey guys, welcome back to my LA food series. The last video covered more of the casual eats of LA, but this video is going to cover the top breakfast and lunch spots of LA. I'll be covering 3 restaurants in this video. One of them is a breakfast spot which is called NORMS. The second is also a breakfast spot but could also be for lunch, and it's called LANGER'S. At least I think it's pronounced LANGER'S. And the third restaurant is more of like a last minute addition to our list, which is King's Buffet. So I'm gonna start off with breakfast at NORMS. This spot was walking distance from our Airbnb, which was located in Loma Linda, California. I think we arrived around 10 to 11 a.m. And during this time, there wasn't too many people, but they did have a decent amount of people dining inside. Right off the bat, the customer experience was amazing. The lady at the cashier area was super friendly. Our server was also super friendly, and overall it just felt very welcoming. Like, I honestly feel like their customer service in this restaurant was very pleasant in comparison to a ton of restaurant experiences in Toronto. And here is what the menu looks like. They had a ton of options. Like, the menu is very similar to Denny's. The amount of choices was pretty overwhelming.
Me too, I can't pick.
But I ended up choosing the classic Eggs Benedict, which was $12.99. And it's pretty much 2 toasted English muffins topped with grilled ham, 2 poached eggs, and a sauce called Hollandaise, which, to be honest, I'm not even sure what that is. But I ordered it anyways. Also not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, that's what I got. And my boyfriend got the omelet. I'm actually not 100% sure which omelet it was, but my best guess is the melting pot omelet, which contains bacon, link sausage, ham, tomatoes, onions, and bell peppers with jack and cheddar cheese, served with a golden hash brown. And then we both shared 3 hotcakes with chocolate chips. I may look small, but I have a very big appetite. And then our friend ordered a breakfast burrito. Again, not 100% sure exactly what it was, but it's either the bigger, better breakfast burrito or the chorizo and egg breakfast burrito. I'm thinking it's probably the latter. So it has some eggs, bell peppers, onions, pico de gallo, jack and cheddar cheese served with tortilla chips, and escabeche. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then just like us, he got hotcakes, but with blueberries. The food looked very, very appetizing. Mine looked pretty similar to the picture, except there was like less ham slices, but that's fine. And while we were waiting for the food, we got some coffee. And the service for that was on point. So we were able to get free refills, which was amazing. And the service was so good that my coffee was getting refilled like every 5 minutes. So I never had an empty cup. And once our food arrived, it looked very, very appetizing, just like the pictures in the menu. My only critique for my dish is that I think that they went a little overboard with the sauce. But after taking my first bite, it tasted great. But I do think it would have tasted a lot better with less sauce. But that's just my personal opinion and taste. There are a lot of people who prefer more sauce than less. And everyone at this table all had similar thoughts as me. We all loved the food. The experience was great. So I would give my overall rating there a 4 out of 5. Great food, super friendly staff, just an overall great customer experience. And the wait for the food wasn't long either. I think the wait time was less than 6 to 7 minutes or so. And as we were waiting, I noticed that the restaurant started becoming more and more packed. So knowing that, it was pretty impressive that our server was still very present, and she was always making sure that we were doing okay, etc. So that's a huge bonus. And I'd say the prices here are also very standard, but I do prefer the overall taste of this restaurant over a restaurant like Denny's, for example. If for whatever reason I had to go to LA again, I would definitely visit this place again.
What would you rate that meal?
I rated a 7.5. Solid 7.5. Like, that's a conservative figure. That's
Nice.
not being very liberal.
Yeah.
This liberal state of California.
Okay, so next up is another favorite of mine. It's called LANGER'S or LANGER'S. This place is one of my top favorite places to eat in LA. Our friend added this into our itinerary because they are best known for their sandwiches, so we definitely had to try them out. I thought the interior of this restaurant was very charming. It gave a very homey vibe, similar to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, which I thought was really nice, and the staff was also very friendly and very knowledgeable with the menu. Their server had recommended the hot pastrami sandwich. So my boyfriend and I decided to split that along with an omelet. So inside the pastrami sandwich, there was sauerkraut and cheese grilled on rye. This was $24. And then we also split the pastrami in 3 eggs omelet with hash browns, which also came with a bagel and cream cheese, and that costed $18.50. Although we couldn't even finish these bagel slices because we were so full on the omelet already. So I personally don't think that they even had to include the bagel, but it is a nice addition to the meal. And then on top of that, our friends had ordered chili cheese fries to share. So that contained cheese, gravy, and caramelized onions. I remember that we had to wait a little longer, but it was 100% worth it. The food looked so appetizing, and this was probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my life. It was packed, very flavorful, and I was very, very full by the end of this meal. So if it wasn't obvious, I give this a huge thumbs up. The overall experience was amazing in terms of the food and customer service. I would probably rate this a 4.5 out of 5, and I would 100% go again if I ever were to come back to LA. So yeah, highly recommend. Okay, so the final place is King's Buffet. So as I mentioned earlier, this was a last minute place that we went to. I think one of our plans kind of flopped because we needed like a reservation for this one restaurant, so we weren't able to go. So this was kind of like our last resort, since this was very close to our Airbnb. I remember we would constantly drive by this restaurant as we were cruising around LA, and we decided that this would be like our last resort restaurant because it was giving us Mandarin vibes, and the Mandarin in Toronto is like a hit or miss, but it's nice to go out of convenience. So that's kind of how we viewed King's Buffet. And this is what the inside looks like. It honestly looked pretty fancy in person, and they even had a cotton candy machine right here on the left. And near the end, our friend actually got some cotton candy when we left. And we actually came at a time when it was not that busy, although we ate at this buffet around lunchtime. So I'm just going to categorize this for lunch. We were pleasantly surprised with the pricing. I believe for lunch, it's like $20 per person, which honestly is pretty cheap considering that Toronto's prices are like $30 to $40 now, or even more. I actually haven't been to a Toronto buffet in a long time. I believe the last time it was like $30 to $40 just for lunch. So to us, this price was great. And to be honest, I wasn't really hungry when we arrived. I wasn't really ready to eat like an all-you-can-eat buffet so early on in the day. So I started off with the sushi here. So I don't know about my fellow Torontonians, but in most cases, a lot of buffet restaurants that have a small sushi area, it's usually not the best sushi. I've been to a handful, and I think the only one that I find decent is the sushi in Dragon Pearl. I'd say the ones in Mandarin are my least favorites. I mentioned it later in this video. I've tried the sashimi there in Mandarin, and it was awful. So I didn't really have high hopes at this restaurant, but to my surprise, it was pretty good. Out of everything I ate at this restaurant, the sushi ended up being my favorite. And I can definitely confirm that their sashimi is way better than Mandarin's.
Really good sushi variety though, compared to most, like compared to, what's it called? Mandarin?
Yeah, way better variety.
Yeah. Just by looking at it, it actually looks nice. Look at that sashimi and shit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, over the years though, Mandarin has actually stepped up their like lunch and their, at least I can speak for their lunch, they have like sashimi. You know, up until maybe recently, they didn't have sashimi for their lunch. You know what I mean? Their lunch stuff. But now it's like, yeah, sashimi.
The Mandarin sashimi is so bad.
Oh, actually though?
And then I got a second plate of broccoli, salmon, some noodles, calamari, tempura shrimp, and some pork. It was all right. I was pretty underwhelmed, and the food didn't taste that hot. Like, it was pretty like lukewarm, but I thought it was really cool that they had a Mongolian grill. But unfortunately, by this point, I was not that hungry. So I gave my camera to my friend who was kind enough to film the Mongolian grill section here. So they had a lot of beef slices of different cuts, some chicken slices. So it looks like some of them were marinated in different ways. And they also had shrimp. And once you gather all your selections, you just hand it over to a chef who then cooks the meal on a flat grill. So our friends ended up getting a plate of grilled shrimp and different types of beef. So from what I remember, I think it was mainly ribeye. So that was the only meat that I tried. And from what I remember, it tasted pretty good, but nothing special about the taste or anything. It just tasted like average.
Ta-da! That video's gonna go crazy.
And as for customer service, I don't think it was the best. In many all-you-can-eat buffets, usually the servers are on top of taking your dishes away. I think the server came to our table to pick up the plates like a total of 2 times, which was not a lot. So our plates were definitely piling up a lot. So I would rate my overall experience like a 3 to 3.5 out of 5. I think it is worth going for the price. I really liked the various selection that they had. I personally think that the sushi and Mongolian grill section were the only key parts that made the experience worthwhile. The other foods just tasted average and not hot enough. But I would recommend going out of convenience. Like, I would say this is a great backup option. So I think I covered it all. Overall, my breakfast/lunch food experience in LA was great. I would say it was a lot better than the casual eats experience. If any of you guys have been to these restaurants in LA, let me know in the comments below and feel free to share your thoughts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bells for more of my content. The next video is going to cover my dinner experience in LA. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.